Caleb, what? Something you found.
Got the eye watching back there.
Yeah, where? Yeah, if you said the iWatch station was at the center lab station, I agree this is an iWatch station. Eventually it's going to also be a safety shower. Would you want to use this? No, it's not hooked up to anything. Good luck. So this is our future one. I got it over the summer. The plumber was in here figuring out how to hook it up. So you wouldn't want to use this one. So way back here in the corner is the iWash station. I think this is a design flaw. The hot water knob is closest to you, but would you want to wash your eyes with hot water?
No.
Probably not. So you got to reach around the back. It looks like a normal sink. So if you pull this little knob, there you go. Just stick your head in. How long? 20 minutes or until the emergency personnel says stop. Just remember, Carol never wore her safety goggles, and now she doesn't need them. That is pretty sad. You get one pair of eyes. I've never had anybody have to use the eye wash station because you always do the safety precautions first, and then you don't have to deal with the consequences. So the eye wash station back by lab 3 and 4, right here. Something else we found. 18. Tessa.
I found the fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. Yeah, where's that thing? Yeah, back in between 1 and 2. It is kind of low to the ground. Number 3, Jessica. Oh, my bad. Sorry, this one.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
There's first aid over by the hospital.
Yeah, first aid right around here. E or no E? I think the person has an E, aid doesn't. I think that's good first aid. 23. Right.
Safety blanket.
Yeah, there's a safety blanket tucked back in this corner. CK? Oh wow, I'm a terrible
That's
speller.
right.
Number 7, Ryan.
The safety shield or goggles back.
Yeah, there's a really cool whole face mask back there. There's like a mannequin head. I don't think anybody's ever going to have to use that. If I'm doing something dangerous afterwards, you put the whole like safety mask on. But the goggle cabinet is back by Lab Station 4. With goggles, I have 3 main types. I have the whole wraparound goggles. If you're wearing contacts, I would highly recommend that version. Also, if you have regular glasses, you're going to want to put those around. Or I have kind of this visor type. That works pretty well. You probably don't want to put the glasses on top of the glasses just because that doesn't work so well. But everyone else can wear those. If you don't like my glasses, go to Home Depot. Thumbabur's for like $2 or $3. You can get really cool ones that are like all shiny. You can puffy paint them. Do whatever you want to them. So if you want your own, no complaint. Beggars can't be choosers. All right, I'll open it up to anybody else. Anything else we missed up here on the safety? Yeah.
Broken glass.
Yes, there's a broken glass box in the back by the Lab Station 4. We're kind of running out of room back here. Why wouldn't you want to put that in the trash can?
Sharp. And it just cuts through the bag.
Okay, it can tear through the bag. Why else would that be a safety hazard?
You drop them in the trash can and make sure you get it.
Okay, you could put. Sit down. 5 minutes too late. Yeah, you could reach in and cut yourself, but who else could reach in and cut themselves? Because they don't know the glasses that are the custodians. So at the end of the year, they'll get rid of that broken glass container. There's also a little dustpan in there. Let's try not to pick the glass up with our hands. No matter how brave we think we are. Very sharp. All right, anything else?
Isn't that the red button there, isn't it, to shut the gas off?
Yeah, it's an emergency gas shutoff valve. Normally, I'll just turn on this little switch, and as long as everyone did what they needed to, all the gas valves should be turned off. So when I turn this on, you shouldn't hear a little If you hear that, you're being gassed. We're good. Now, if I have that on, we're working, there's a big like fire in the back, I hit this red button. It's very tempting. You probably want to touch it, but don't because then it's a major pain. You gotta like do all this stuff in the back room there to like get the gas turned back on. So that's an emergency shut-off valve, which is right. Anything else we found? Maybe one or two more things.
On lab table 3, the distilled water rinse.
Yeah, there is a distilled water rinse back there. At the very end of the lab, you're going to wash things with soap and water, but if you know anything about Lidditz water, it's very hard. And this glass is not going to be looking this clean at the end because it kind of gets all foggy and dirty. So once you're done washing all your dishes, if you just like give them one little rinse back there in distilled water, it keeps things from getting spotty. So I wouldn't really say that's safety, that's more just lab cleanup. But yeah, we do have distilled water. Anything else you think? What's that big brown box up there?
Oh, it's good for that.
The vent or the fume hood, yeah. So that's where I do more dangerous experiments, especially ones that give off fumes and vapors. It is not a bomb box, it's not a detonation box. We try not to set bomb bombs. Although we do some pretty cool ones. If anybody saw a kitty litter back there, you could technically put that down in fact kind of in this little corner here. Why might we have kitty litter in a chemistry lab?
Oh, won't it soak up fluids if they don't?
Yeah, it soaks up like chemical fluid still. So rather than having like this fluid run all over, you can build a little moat around it, pour it on, soak it up, and then just scoop up the chemicals in. So there is kitty litter. Now again, most of this stuff you're never ever gonna have to do. But if there is an emergency and for some reason I'm knocked out, you guys can take charge. The phone up here, this is also a safety device. All the phone numbers you need are up here. Again, you're probably never going to have to do that, but if for some reason I'm passed out, please call 3400-3738, and if nobody picks up there, the security officer is 3779. And if that doesn't work, everyone pretty much has a cell phone, you can dial 911. Anything else we need to add? Okay, I think that's complete. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about some of these safety items. At this point, hopefully no one's freaked out. You're not going to have to go back into the lab and dress like this. Okay? There's things that we're going to do. We're definitely going to be wearing goggles. We're definitely going to be wearing shoes that don't have open toes, and that's really important for tomorrow. I see a lot of warm weather out there, a lot of sandals right now. If you're wearing sandals, you won't be able to do the lab tomorrow. So if you need to write yourself a note in the agenda, do that. Tomorrow's probably the most dangerous lab we'll do all year long because we're using concentrated acid. It's to prove a point, just because we're talking about eye safety, but it's also kind of getting you to set up an experiment, all the different parts of an experiment. But the sandals are definitely a no-no. This is actually a cutout of my dad. He had to do like a safety expo at work. He's like 6'2", so it was like life size. So he actually took it home and stuck it in the living room. So when you first walk in the door at home, you go to visit, you see this like crazy 6'2" guy like sitting in the corner. So, kind of freaks you out. All right, let's talk about the safety blanket for a little bit. What might you use the safety blanket for? Number 19, Holly. What might you use it for? Okay, you can maybe put it on a major spill to kind of keep things intact. I would say that's maybe your second option if you can't use the kitty litter, maybe this to contain things. Another use for it, 21. Rihanna.
Is it like a fire blanket?
Yeah, it's like a fire blanket. And what sort of fires might you use this blanket on?
Like if you're on fire or like your clothing?
Yes, if a person is on fire. Even though you've probably seen it in the movie a dozen times, do you ever use a fire extinguisher on a person? No. First of all, they're on fire. They're probably in some pain. They're probably going to have some medical issues to deal with. You don't want to make their situation worse by spraying them with a fire extinguisher and all those chemicals in there. Okay, so that's definitely a no. stop, drop, roll, and pat them down with the safety blanket. Okay. When else might you use a blanket? Just like at home. When you're cold. When might you get really cold in the country? Besides that, we have a really awesome air conditioning system. So be thankful come June. When might somebody get really cold in the country? Pardon?
Going into the freezer.
Okay, maybe going into the freezer. If we had a freezer, yes, possible. It's a medical condition. An accident happens and somebody gets really cold. Kind of like hypothermia. Somebody goes into shock. Yes. This is a very serious condition. It could happen in a major accident, like somebody cuts off their arm and they're freaking out and their body starts to shut down going into shock. Or it can happen just with a minor, like, paper cut. If somebody freaks out that much with blood, their body, like, starts to shut down so that they don't have to deal with that, and they go into shock. So you put the blanket on them, keep them warm. That's not something we can fix. You call the nurse, call the emergency personnel, and they'll figure it out from there. You could also use it as a curtain. When might you need a curtain? What? A curtain. When might you need a curtain?
I mean, if this is true, maybe when you're taking one of the showers.
Yeah, eventually when we get that safety shower hooked up, it's probably not a good idea to keep all these like chemical soaked clothing on. Okay, so we'll try to get everyone else out of the room, but you quick take your clothes off and you take a shower. Okay, we probably don't want to just be standing in the middle of the room taking a shower. So if it's a guy, we'll obviously have guys holding the curtain up, using it as a safety shower. If it's a lady, we'll get the ladies doing this. A scary story about this. Senior year in college, there was a girl working with a large quantity of acid. Don't worry, you'll never be doing that. Mixing it with water, gives off a lot of heat. The glass got so hot it cracked, spilled acid all over herself. Okay? There was a shower right there. A little embarrassed, didn't want to hop in the shower, take her clothes off. She walked down 3 flights of stairs, across the block, up 3 flights of stairs to her apartment. By the time she had gotten there, the acid had eaten through her leg like that far down into her thigh. Okay? She didn't feel it because it had already eaten through her nerves. Had she quick jumped in the shower, she probably would have been all right. She didn't, so she missed graduation, had to go to like UVA and Virginia Tech for all these chemical skin cracks. I'm not here to freak you out, but a little embarrassment is definitely worth jumping in the shower once it's all hooked up. We have one right around the hallway that we can use if we need it. The nurse also has it. But again, safety first. A little bit of embarrassment goes a long way when you're not like having to regrow inches of like flesh.
Don't you have to add acid to water, not water to acid? So wouldn't it be bad to take a shower if you had acid?
No, when you're mixing acids in water, you should always add the acid to the water because the water is pretty good at absorbing heat. But you wouldn't want to add more acid if you're already cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take your clothes off and you could get into the water if that makes you feel better, but at that point, all you're trying to do is wash all the acid off. Yeah, but you raise a good point. One of the safety rules in that safety sheet is you always add the acid to the water because it can handle the heat a little bit better. Any questions on the safety blanket now that everyone's freaked out by horror stories? All right, fire extinguisher, proper use, PASS. You might want to write down, besides the fact about this, you can't ever use it on a person. I don't care what you've seen in the movie, no people. Any ideas what the P stands for? Yeah, like a grenade, you gotta pull the pin to make it work. Doesn't work unless you pull the pin. A. Yes, you aim at the base. You got both parts. If you aim at the top or the middle of the fire, it can actually jump little fires everywhere. And when you started with one fire, now you have 10 little fires going. Not a good idea. You always aim at the base. S. Doesn't work unless you squeeze. Yeah, squeeze the trigger. I'll give you 2 options. Think it through, and then we'll take a vote. You can squeeze it like a machine gun, or you can squeeze it in short bursts. Think it through. Which is the best? Machine gun. Short bursts. Short bursts is correct. only has about 30 seconds of spray in there. If you hold it down like a machine gun, 30 seconds later, you'll probably still have a fire raging, and now you'll be out of spray. So short little bursts. I apologize now for my handwriting. That's how it's going to be all year long. It doesn't get much better. Last S. Yeah, just like in a sweeping motion. Okay, that way you cover all your bases. Literally. PASS. Show of hands, we've heard of that before, maybe in a tech ed class or another class. If not, PASS. Is this good or am I going too fast? Good. Alright, eye watch, how long? 20 minutes. You betcha. You only get one set of eyes. All precautions necessary. One thing about these safety goggles, what do you notice about them? Okay, some of them are very light. These are kind of the glasses up here. These are the goggles down below. What else do you notice about them? They are very organized. Okay? When I close the doors, I can turn on this little light and kill all the little germs and bacteria that are normally on your head, like cleaning all the stuff. Okay, it's good germs. But you probably don't want somebody else's good germs messing with your good germs. Okay, so if you put them back in there nice and neat, I close the doors, all the little germs get killed. If you just chuck them in there at the end of the lab, there's no guarantee all those little germs will get killed. When should you use safety glasses? 3 options. Anytime blank, blank, or blank are used, right off the orange paper. 3 times you need to always be wearing safety goggles. Yes. Anytime chemicals are used. Anytime heat, like a Bunsen burner, hot plate. Chemicals, heat, or clear and sharp. Glass. This is probably the one that I get the most complaints on, okay? Even if we're doing a water lab in the back, we're doing a lab that involves water. If you're using glassware, you gotta have goggles on the whole time. You could be at home pouring a cup of orange juice into an orange juice glass, drop it, shatter, cut it, no big deal, okay? You come over here, because it's a chemistry lab, ooh, okay? Pretty much the same thing as an orange juice glass. You cut this, you cut yourself with this, you're not wearing goggles, now I'm liable. I really like my job too much to lose it, okay? So you gotta have goggles on, even if it's just like an orange juice glass, okay? You put them on at the very start of the lab, and you don't take them off until when? The total end, which doesn't mean the end of the lab, the end of everything, the end of all cleanup. 2 years ago, the biggest mess I've ever had in a lab, a whole little bottle of acid spilled. It happened during the cleanup. The kid was bringing it to me. He didn't screw on the lid. I went to get the bottle. I got the bottom of the bottle, but he had the top, and things fell, and there was acid everywhere. Okay. Luckily, all those kids had their goggles on. So once you take those goggles off, you immediately come back to your seats, because if somebody else is doing a lab and you're just chilling in the back without goggles, bad things could happen. So start all the way to Alright, the fume hood, this is for kind of dangerous experiments, experiments with fumes. You won't really be using it. It is a little hard to see off in the corner, so usually I'll have a video camera on that so you can see the same thing happening over here. First aid. Are you allowed to just go get your own stuff out of the first aid equipment? Like you cut your finger, you just go help yourself? Is that a good idea? No, you always let me know first. If I say it's okay, go get a Band-Aid. If not, I'll say go to the nurse and let the stage. So it's not self-serve. Okay, safety shower. Eventually when that gets hooked up, it sends gallons and gallons of water every minute. Would you want to jump in the safety shower if you get something on your finger? Or your hand? Or your elbow? No, it's too big of a mess to clean up. So if you can handle it with the sink, great. If not, I mean, if you are coated, no qualms. Get in there and just get it all washed off. With that, are there any questions on safety equipment? How to use them, when to use them, or anything left over